Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. And now, as you've no doubt gathered from the title, we are continuing on with our player's guide for the Pathfinder Bard, and we are taking a look today at their skills. Now, when it comes right down to it, bards are kind of in a unique position when it comes to skills. They get 6 plus their intelligence bonus per level, and which is not bad at all, but they also get a pretty huge list of skills. And it may seem like you really need to carefully pick at first, but not entirely. You still need to plan, but the situation is largely thanks to two of the bard's class abilities, and that's bardic knowledge, which you get at level 1, and you get 1/2 of your class level bonus to all knowledge checks. So if you're level 10, you're going to get a +5 bonus to all of the knowledge skills. And versatile performance, which kicks in for you at level 2, and you can substitute a perform skill that you have ranks in for the associated skills that are listed in the versatile performance ability. And this allows you to free up a significant number of your skill points and allow you to kind of distribute them around a little bit and shore up some skills that may be more important than others, or add skill points into skills that you may otherwise not be able to. So this absolutely makes the bard a very, very versatile character for you to build and work around with. But as I said, you still need to plan a little bit, and so that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. And given that the bard has a large number of skills, rather than arrange the skills by the tiers of quality, blue, green, yellow, red, we're just going to go in alphabetical order here and just start firing them off. So, starting us off, acrobatics. Acrobatics is situationally useful. We have a good dexterity score with this build, and we're wearing light armor. This may be worth a point when you have nothing else that you really need to shore up. And given that it's a class skill, once you drop that 1 point in, you get that +3 miscellaneous bonus to the skill overall. So 1 point may actually be sufficient for you for most of the campaign. Though, if you're regularly put in situations where you need to rely on your acrobatic skill, then obviously maybe throw in another point or two just to help keep you alive. And then after that, we have the appraise skill. Appraisal does not really come up a whole lot. I mean, this is definitely a little bit more on the side of an NPC skill for when the players are trying to cheat them, as kind of like a back and forth with role playing and the like. But this is also just looking at things from a purely mechanical mindset. Certainly, if a player is taking the time to and using their skill points to invest a couple of points into appraise, then I would say DMs, all you storytellers out there, definitely create more situations, or keep in mind the need to create more situations for the players to use their appraise skill and assess the value of different objects that may come across. I know certainly for myself, I like coming up with unique treasure and rewards for players, so it can come up and be handy. And then after that, we have bluff. This is the bread and butter for any party face, any character with a high charisma score that's uh, doing and taking the lead in most of the social situations. This is absolutely one that you want to consider putting points into, maybe even making one of your fully ranked up skills. But this is one of the skills that's affected by versatile performance, so definitely plan ahead for that. And then, of course, we come to after that climb. Climb is a bit like acrobatics. We have a solid strength score, and we're wearing light armor, but you're probably only going to need a point or two occasionally, unless, again, your DM is putting you in situations where you need to use the climb skill regularly. Then, boost it a bit more. And after climb, we come along to crafting. And crafting, leave this to the other party members. Let them build up their crafting skills. I mean, we don't have a bad intelligence score, but we're not pushing a high intelligence build that will benefit the craft skill and also give us extra skill points for that matter. So don't worry about this one. Focus more on your social skills. And of course, we have diplomacy. Speaking of social skills, this one is incredibly important for the bard. It's basically one of those skills that no bard should ever be caught without. It's also a skill that's affected by versatile performance. So, again, if you are taking a performance skill that affects diplomacy, don't worry about putting points into diplomacy in this case, because what versatile performance does is it allows you to substitute the perform skill in its entirety for the listed skill. So if you take one that affects diplomacy, you don't need points in diplomacy because you're already getting max skill ranks, all your bonuses, and everything else that could possibly apply, just like you would if you had been maxing out diplomacy. So you can distribute your skill points elsewhere. And then we have disguise. Disguise is another skill that I really love, but we get this as a spell with disguise self. So it may be kind of a moot point in that case. Though I can imagine a few situations where maybe your magic is limited or you have limited access, then in that case might be worth a few more points, but you can probably safely skip by this one. And then escape artist. Escape artist is just another one of those skills that benefits from the fact that we have a good dex score and we're wearing light armor. Just a point or two should be fine for this overall. Unless somehow you're finding yourself grappled a lot and the DM just really has it out for you. Then, boost it and do the best you can to survive. And then after escape artist, we have intimidate. Intimidate is such a fantastic skill. You can use this to get opponents to back down, bully your way into so many different places and situations, and get around a lot of other encounters. And this works really good with some feats for combat-related purposes. But again, it's another one that's affected by versatile performance. And then we have our knowledge skills. And knowledge, all of them I'm just listing as blue here because we get all of them. And knowledge skills can be huge, particularly the planes, dungeoneering, religion, and arcana. Those 4 skills are going to allow you to basically identify all the creatures that you come across. Maybe throw in knowledge nature or exchange that for dungeoneering or arcana. But either way, you're going to be able to identify almost everything that you come across. There will be very little that is beyond your knowledge. You're going to be a walking library. You're going to be that character that understands all the references and jokes. But which skills are going to be the most useful just really depends on the campaign and what the DM has in mind. So if you can work with your DM ahead of time without spoiling everything that he has planned, maybe try to figure out which skills are going to be a bit more pertinent and then rank those up a bit more in favor of the others. This, as I mentioned before, is affected by bardic knowledge, so this will make you that walking library with relatively minimal skill point use, especially considering, again, since these are all class skills, as soon as you put that 1 point in, you get that +3 miscellaneous modifier. So you're gonna build up your knowledge skills really, really fast. And then after knowledge, we have linguistics. And linguistics is another skill that I really like, but we have some spells that can produce similar effects. But, each skill that you put into linguistics gets you a new language that you can read and write and speak fluently. This allows you to decipher ancient scripts, and it will allow you to detect forgeries. So its usefulness definitely depends on as much as what your DM has planned and how often they're throwing forgeries your way and how often they're having you decipher ancient scripts and tablets and things like that that contain ancient prophecies and whatnot. So it just depends on how useful exactly this can be. But, certainly does not hurt to have a point or two invested into it if you can spare it. And then we have perception, which obviously rated blue. It's the most used skill in the game, no matter what the campaign or the setting. So definitely one to consider having maxed out if you can do it. And then, of course, the perform skills. You have access to all the different performances. You can act, you can sing, you can dance, you play the flute, you play the ukulele, you can play the accordion or the hurdy-gurdy. These affect all of your bard abilities. You need this whichever perform you pick, you want to be maxed out. And I would say, again, from a mechanical standpoint, go with something like comedy or act or oratory. You deliver amazing speeches, something like that. So that way your performance is all verbal, allowing you to keep both your hands free and use other equipment, shield, sword, or in our case, bow and arrow. This way we can keep firing away into combat, and when we need to, use our different bardic abilities and effects. And then after perform, we have profession. You use this to make money. Go adventuring instead. Way more riches in it for you, kid. And then sleight of hand. Again, this is a situation where we have a good dex score that can make this useful with relatively minimal skill point investment. This could certainly be worth putting a few more points into now and then, depending on how much you want to stray into being more of a rogue and the like. Certainly no harm in it. But again, just kind of plan out what it is exactly you're going to be doing. And of course, spellcraft. Spellcraft is another skill that's just insanely useful. You need this for identifying all kinds of effects and items and knowing what spell that enemy caster is about to drop on you. Certainly one to really consider having. And then we come to stealth. Stealth is definitely something you can make use of, and as mentioned before with sleight of hand and escape artists, good dex, light armor, worth a point or two. And in this case, since we're wanting to be archers, certainly doesn't hurt to be a little bit more hidden, out of sight, out of mind. Well, until you start using your perform comedy to rip into the enemy and boost your allies. But hey, as long as you're not getting shot at first and you let the fighter or paladin go ahead and tank the blows, so much the better. And lastly, we have use magic device. For any spellcasting class, this is definitely important because this lets you enhance your spellcasting even further. You're not a wizard, you're not a cleric, and you're not a druid. You're not going to be outperforming them when it comes to spellcasting. However, you can use wands, you can use staves, you can use all the different rods and the like. This will let you, especially if you want to focus on more of a spellcasting route, let you perform better in that role and only adds to your overall versatility on the battlefield. You can plink away with arrows, you can use your different bardic songs and abilities to boost your allies, debuff some enemies, and then whip out a few spells now and then when needed. All of these things come together to really cement home how the bard can actually be a really strong class and a very strong leader for any party, and definitely takes them out of that fifth wheel category that's, I'm the fifth person and I picked last, so I'm going to just kind of go with this that can kind of support everybody and everything else. Now, this can help take the bard into that leadership role. But this is not all we're doing with this build. Certainly we have plenty more to go. We have a lot of feats to look through, and then we get to all the different class abilities. But those will be episodes for another time. For now, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. If you enjoyed today's video, then go on down there, hit that like button for me. And if you did enjoy this episode this evening, then over here are going to be some videos popping up that maybe you'll enjoy as well. Go ahead and give those a look. And if you've been enjoying the content here overall, then go on down there, hit the subscribe button. Certainly we'll be happy to have you join here. But with that said, once again, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire. Thank you all so much for your time, and you have yourselves a good night.